Hello, welcome to another recap video. And for this week recap video, I wanted to talk about the need for iReports because we talked about what we need to do prior to assessment, pre-assessment tasks. And the single most important thing you can do prior to assessing a student is get that iReport, because iReport guides our assessment. And a lot of you have wondered, oh, there's so many things to assess. Where do I begin? You really aren't assessing everything under the sun. There are so many different eye conditions and ways that different eye conditions can impact vision that we use the iReport to guide our assessment. So if we get the iReport and it says the child has a condition that may impact their color vision, then you're going to look at ways that that color vision loss impacts their education. If you have a student whose iReport says they have no vision in one eye and limited vision in their other eye, then you might think field loss. I'm going to look if their field loss impacts their education, right? Because if you have one eye, then this whole area has been lost to them. If you have another student whose iReport says they have reduced vision, distance vision, then you're going to see how that loss impacts their education. And so impacts their education is the key phrase here, right? Because we're not doctors. We don't diagnose vision loss. We see what the vision loss that has already been documented, how that may impact their education. And this can get very confusing. In the past couple of weeks, I've had quite a few of you ask, can I assess a kid without an iReport? The answer is no. And over the years, I've had quite a few service providers and teachers ask me, can you assess this kid? He doesn't have an iReport. Parents will take him to the doctor. The answer is no. And I've had quite a few district administrators ask me, can you assess this kid? No, I cannot. And I think the confusion actually, at least among administration and other service providers, I think the confusion comes around from deaf and hard of hearing. And that's because districts employ audiologists who can diagnose hearing loss, but there is no district that employs an ophthalmologist who can diagnose vision loss, right? The parents actually have to go out and get an iReport from a physician that has nothing to do with the school district. And legally, visual impairment is the only disability that requires a physician's letter of documented evidence that they have that loss. You can't require parents to go get a letter from a doctor saying my child has autism or a learning disability or a psychiatric disorder or ADHD. No other disability label requires a report from a physician. Visual impairment does. And so that is a very important bit of information to tell your school administrator when they say, oh, this kid can't see, I need you to assess them. Well, I'm not an eye doctor. I can't. And sometimes it can be very frustrating, especially when you have that child, you know that they might be struggling. It's not up to you to decide that. You can't decide it. You don't have the equipment, and you don't have the education, you don't have the knowledge. And trust me, you don't want to set yourself up for that situation. They already think that you have the ability to do this. And I have been asked some weird questions over the years. Once I got out of my car, and I had been, trucking all over town, going from one school to another. I got out of my car, and this teacher ran up to me, oh, thank God you're here. I need you to look at this kid. I thought, oh my gosh, I had a Braille reader in her class, and I thought, oh, what did he do now? And I get there, and it's actually a completely different kid. And she says to me, the teacher says, does he have pink eye? Like, one, I'm the vision teacher. I'm not a doctor. Two, I don't do pink eye. There's nothing about pink eye I do. Please don't ever ask me that, right? Please just send all those kids with gunky eyes to the school nurse. That is not what I do. And that's an extreme example, but you really have to make sure that you present yourself in a manner and that everyone knows that what you're doing is teaching. You're a teacher and you're trying to determine whether the child's visual impairment impacts their education. And if so, what kind of accommodations and instructions they need to compensate for that. But you're not the person to determine whether they have a visual impairment or not. And trust me, you don't want to try to help out and then have an ophthalmologist tell you, oh, there's actually nothing wrong with their vision at all. You could set the district up for a very awkward conversation, right? And so, yeah, I just wanted to talk to you guys about the importance of iReports. And I know that it can be frustrating that you don't have that iReport, but it's really very, very important. And when you're trying to figure out, oh, there seems like so many things to assess, you need to make sure that you're reading the iReport, that you have an updated iReport in hand prior to assessment, and then that iReport is guiding your assessment. Yeah, and so I really like that you guys are so supportive of each other, and I look forward to another discussion. Thanks.